Hello everyone, this week we have got a double whammy of celebration in our service. So I thought I would do something a little bit more child friendly for the video as well, for those who are not able to get down to church for the service. You might see behind me that there's an empty table sitting here, which is not usually there. So kids, I wonder if you can have a guess at what you think is going to go on that empty table on Sunday morning. What do you think? Well, hopefully on Sunday morning this table will be absolutely full and stacked high with food, because we're celebrating the Harvest Festival. We give thanks to God for a good harvest, for this beautiful abundant world that we share, and we distribute some of the extra that we've got to those who are in need. So this year hopefully our food donations will be going to Bedford's Food Bank, and that will be making sure that people who are in need will have enough to eat. Not only is it Harvest Festival, but it is a very special day for me and some of my friends, because the 4th of October is the day when we remember St. Francis. Now, St. Francis was somebody who lived a very, very long time ago in Italy. He was the son of a very, very rich man, but he decided to give up everything that he had to share with people in need and to wander around with his friends, sharing the good news of God's love. You can see behind me actually that there is a window dedicated to St. Francis and his friend St. Clare here in our church. St. Francis had a very, very special love for all the things that God created, the birds and the animals, the plants, and he used to write beautiful songs and poems about the beautiful world that God has made. Now, I have a little boy called Jared at home who is 4 years old, and one of his very favourite books is this book, which is a story about St. Francis and a wolf. And in the story, St. Francis came to a town where everybody was hiding away scared because the wolf had been chasing them all away. And the people desperately wanted to get rid of this scary wolf. So they spent lots and lots of money hiring a knight, and the knight didn't do very well. And they hired soldiers, and the soldiers didn't do very well either. And they even spent all their money on a big, fearsome war machine. And even the war machine didn't do very well against the wolf. So, St. Francis came and helped the people because they'd become very poor because they'd spent all of their money. And St. Francis convinced them that they shouldn't try to harm the wolf because the wolf is one of God's creatures. And he said that he would go and talk to the wolf. And when St. Francis met this fierce wolf, he said, "Come out, brother wolf. Do not harm me, brother wolf, for I love you as I love all of God's creatures. I have come to make peace." And amazingly, the wolf became calm, and the wolf even gave St. Francis his paw and agreed to be kind and gentle as long as the people in the city fed the wolf and looked after him. And St. Francis and the wolf became very good friends, and all the people in the town shared their food with the wolf and took care of him. I'm a tertiary Franciscan, which means that I've committed to following Jesus by the example of St. Francis through a commitment to living simply, which means I try not to be greedy. I try to live simply to care for the planet and all of God's creatures through the way that I live and the way that I spend my money. One of the dangers about the stories about St. Francis is that sometimes it can all seem very romantic and lovely, that he walked around preaching to birds and singing songs and spending time in the countryside with his friends. But actually there's a lot more to St. Francis than that. The way he and his followers lived was a radical living message of God's kingdom, of the love of creation and of the poor and of strangers and of the sick, and a commitment to living simply in solidarity with all the poor of the world. If we think back again to the story about the wolf, sometimes I think I can recognise something of myself in the wolf. Sometimes we're mean and we're nasty because we're hungry, or because we want more things or more power or more respect. And that can make us act in a way that hurts others and hurts the world around us. Jesus calls us to live in a different way. He says, "Consider the lilies and how well dressed God has made them. and that God cares even more for us than he does for the lilies, that he's given this incredible, abundant world for us to live in, and there's plenty for everybody, as long as nobody takes more than what they need. There's a traditional Native American story about a youngster who goes to see the tribal elder, and the youngster says, it's like there's these two wolves fighting inside of me. One of the wolves makes me greedy and selfish and mean and violent, and the other wolf makes me kind and makes me gentle and loving. And he says to the tribal elder, which one of these wolves is going to win the fight? Will I be kind or will I be cruel? And the tribal elder responds, the one which you feed the most will win. Let's ask ourselves this week, which wolf are we feeding in our lives?